Hey there, it's B, and I owe you a wrap up. So I'm gonna give you a wrap up. That's really it. That's it. So we're not gonna address the 3 week stasis. We're not gonna address the fact that this is a late video either. We're just going to go through this list and I'm gonna tell you how I feel about the books I read. The first book I read during the Asian Readathon was Starfish by Akemi Don Bowman. I gave the book 3 stars because there was nothing wrong with it or anything like that. I just felt like the pacing of the book was a little weird to me. Like it felt a little empty. Like I really enjoyed the story of this young girl who applies to art school, finds out she didn't get in, and that school was like her one, like it felt like her one chance of like getting out of her situation. I liked the premise of the book, right? Because I can totally relate. I'm a recent high school graduate and I applied everywhere, and there's nothing wrong with the college I'm going to, but you know, dream schools and whatnot. So like I really relate to it, but the only thing, I don't really know how to explain it. Like something about the book felt like there could have been more to me, you know? Like you ever eat something and you're like, this is fine, but you like there's like a little bit, there's like a little something that feels like it's missing from the dish. Like that's how I felt about this book. The only thing that I really like didn't like, I guess you could say, is the fact that even after like she was struggling with her, I say she, but her name is Kiko. The main character's name is Kiko. So even though Kiko was struggling with her Asianness and her identity, I don't know why, but like while I was reading it, in the back of my head I was like, okay, but don't you get with that white boy? And guess what she did? She got with that white boy. Look, swirl rights, but at what cost? Anyways, it's a pretty decent book, and I would say I really enjoyed the ending. I really liked how, even though her life did not end up the way that she thought it would, she really ended up in a really wonderful place, and I love that she got basically her own happy ending, you know? But if you are going to read this book, I would say that there are trigger warnings for past sexual assault. It's not, I don't think it's in depth from what I remember, but it's there, so you know, watch out for that. Second book I read was Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Heng Wen. Gave this one a 4-star, and I remember when I was talking about reading it, I said that it reminded me of Euphoria a little bit, and I was half right. So like they party a bunch at this away camp over the summer, but there are no drugs, so good for them. It's very dramatic. I felt like I was reading like a whole season of Degrassi, you know, throughout the book. It's super nuts. Lots of things happen. Even like from day one, it's crazy at that camp, but it was really interesting. I liked it a lot. This is another situation where, you know, we have a high school graduate and she wants to go to a certain college, but like this time it's her parents getting in the way of her dreams, just not her just not getting into the school. And it's her dealing with the fact that she's trying to live her parents' dream for her. Does that make sense? Like they want her to be someone and she wants to be something else, but she's trying to reconcile what she wants to do versus what they want for her. And I felt that too. I felt it. But I would say that with all the twists and turns in this book, I thought it was really enjoyable. Like I blew through this in a couple days, I think. I don't really remember. Ever is a really fun protagonist. I like the way she talks about music and how dancing makes her feel and things like that. I will say though, she's a better woman than me because what her best friend did to her, like I said, there's a lot of drama, but her best friend does something extremely, really insidious that I personally could never come back from. Like Ever forgave her, and good for her for being a person who, you know, can find that within herself. Girls supporting girls and whatnot, but it could never be me. We would have to scrap. I'm so sorry. I don't care what your little backstory is. We would have to scrap. I couldn't do it. Then the third book I read was Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. I gave this one a 3-star, and it's really disappointing for me. That's considered really disappointing for me because the book is the last book in a series that I was really excited for. I was really, you know, excited to read the conclusion of the adventures of Yumeko and Tatsumi from, you know, the first book and all that. But at some point, I really had to put this book down. Like, I almost didn't finish it for this. I only finished it because I was so invested in, like, the series. Otherwise, I would just put it down. So I completely understand a book where, like, nothing goes right for the protagonists. They make plans, and their plans get shaken up because the antagonist is right on their asses the whole time, you know? And I completely get, like, you know how there's like a plan for the final battle and like something has to go wrong and then someone comes in clutch and then, you know, all, you know, the standard tropes. But like this book was one mishap after another, but it was very strange. Like, it was really weird. Like, at some point I was reading it and I remember out loud going, what the hell? Because it felt like, I don't know, it was like the regular plot got put through a chaos engine and it was like, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Get fucked. And at some point I just couldn't take it. Also, there's a lot of character deaths in this book. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but there's a lot of character deaths in this book, and there was a, like, I took everything else, but when they started at 65%, I was like, okay, let me relax. I will comment later. And I almost didn't come back. I was like, I can't do this. The ending, though, the only reason I came back is because I read in the Goodreads reviews that the ending was very satisfying and it made some people cry. So I read it and I finished it all the way through. When I got to the ending, I too was like, okay, so maybe you made some points. So I'll say that I'm satisfied with mixed feelings, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not mad about the way it ended, but you didn't have to put me through all that, basically. That's really it. Oh, also, one thing I really didn't like in this book, the one thing that really, like, knocked a whole star down for me was Tatsumi's point of view, because he's gone through some certain transformation that makes him a lot more emo now than he was before. Like, super emo. Like, he talks about it every other paragraph, emo, and that was really getting on my nerves. I was like, damn, we get it. You're sad. Like, I understand. I got it the first time. Can we please talk about anything else? Anything else? I would have taken him talking about how much he loves Kiko the entire book, rather than him being like, I'm a monster the whole book, you know? Like, come on. Come on. That's it. That it just made me tired. The last full book I read was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I gave this one like 4.5 out of 5, I think. Or 4 stars. I don't really remember. I was surprised that I enjoyed this book, actually, because when you read the background, when you read the synopsis of the novel, it sounds kind of dry as hell. I only started reading contemporaries this year, so when I read the back, I was like, oh, this is gonna test me. This is really gonna take something to read. But it didn't. It was really interesting. It's not super dramatic, but I really enjoyed the way that the book was written. Of course, I stan Pearl and Mia, her mom. I really enjoyed how in the writing of the novel, it felt like we were going through like a regular plot, right? But every so often, we would like take a few steps forward in the plot and then stop to look back at like where these characters came from and why they are the way they are. Like, there were definitely pages of what could be called like info dumping, but it was explained. They were interspersed in a way that didn't feel like I was getting information thrown at me. It was like armchair psychology for why these characters were the way they are, when really it was just her telling us where they came from, if that makes sense. And I think it also really helped to illustrate how each side thought when it came to the case involving the adopted baby. I thought that was really interesting how we had already gotten all these little, like, this little backstories and things like that, and it all kind of came together to make us understand why the situation is like kind of an uproar, you know what I mean? Like, we got details that nobody else got in the novel, of course, and that can color how you feel about the characters, but it also explains to you why they are the way they are. I will say, the book opens with us knowing that there's a fire that's been set in the house. I don't think that's a spoiler because it's called Little Fires Everywhere, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not surprised to find out who set the fire, but I was a little bit surprised with how the book ended. I felt it ended very abruptly, and kind of ambiguously. I really wanted more out of, like, the I guess more of a post-credits scene, if that makes sense. Like, I understand that that's, like, this is where it ends for the entire cast, but I really wanted to know more about who was left when everything was said and done. That's not gonna make sense unless you've read it, but I don't really want to get into, like, talking about specific, I guess, spoilers for the story. But I would really recommend this to anyone who likes contemporary novels. I was also supposed to I was supposed to watch the show in the Watchathon, but I barely managed to finish these books. so I didn't watch it, and I still haven't watched it because I've been watching anything else. Maybe at some point I'll watch it and like maybe make a video on that. I don't know. I might not though, because it's already been a little while since I've read the book to compare the two. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's my readathon list. Thank you for watching the video all the way through if you have. And I will see you at some point in the future. Probably not soon, because I'm a terrible uploader. But you know, eventually. Okay, bye.